Welcome to Israel Now. I'm Bob Brooks.
And I'm Katrina Zish, where we, along with our team broadcasting in Israel, highlight the latest news coming from our strongest ally in the Middle East.
In this special, we're going to journey into the heart of Israel, talking to local entrepreneurs and religious leaders while also exploring the area's rich history, their nightlife, and Israeli cuisine.
I look forward to that. Now I'm hungry. All right. But first, the President Trump brokered ceasefire is still holding in Gaza. That is despite Hamas refusing to put down their weapons.
Video from the U.S. Central Command shows Hamas terrorists looting an aid truck intended for Gazans. CENTCOM says Hamas attacked the driver and stole the aid. Here's what a spokesperson to Israel's prime minister had to say.
Looting aid by Hamas is nothing new. We have been telling you, journalists, we've been telling the world about this for the last 2 years, that many of these aid trucks have been stopped and looted by Hamas. Their aid has been sold after they've stolen it at exponential prices, of course, making this even more difficult for the people of Gaza to even get their hands on essential items. We've continued to say that Hamas causes their own people to suffer on a daily basis inside of the Gaza Strip.
And of course, Hamas still has not handed over all of the bodies of the slain hostages. This past week, the body of Omer Nutra was returned. Now, the New York native was set to attend Binghamton University. Like many other Jewish students, he deferred college to go to Israel for his gap year. Nutra enlisted in the IDF and was killed and his body taken captive on October 7th. His parents spoke after his body was returned.
For 758 days, we lived between hope and heartbreak. Today, that long night ends with the knowledge that Omer is finally home. Our hearts are shattered, yet at last we can begin the process of bringing Omer to his final resting place in the land he loved and defended.
Well, President Trump, who helped secure Nutra's release, he also said this.
I spoke to the parents. We got Nutra, from New York and from the United States. And I spoke to his parents. They're thrilled in one sense, but in another sense, obviously, it's not too great. But we're very happy to have done it. We got three bodies back today that they found. And we're looking for the remainder of the bodies.
Well, this past week, Hamas also returned the body of Itai Chen. Chen was born in America and then grew up in Israel. Chen was killed on October 7th, and his body was taken into Gaza. And joining us now, author of Israel and Civilization and host of the Josh Hammer Show, Josh Hammer. Josh, it's a pleasure to have you on here. So let's talk about Gaza, the latest. Is it working out? Give us your thoughts.
Well, it's too early to say, right? I mean, this hostage deal is, the ink is barely dry, right, as they would say. But thus far, I mean, Hamas is doing what everyone predicted that Hamas would do. They would drag their knuckles. They would kind of, sort of abide. They would pretend that they don't exactly know where the deceased hostages' bodies are. They would deliver the remains of other hostages. They would stage this ridiculous video with the Red Cross's complicity of pretending to magically discover a buried body, which no one with an IQ above 50 would possibly believe. So, I mean, they're doing exactly what we thought they would do. Ultimately, Hamas is not going to be in charge of Gaza, because if Hamas is in charge of Gaza, then the 2-year war effort from the IDF will all have been for naught. Israel will have failed on its own war aims. And that's certainly not the outcome, most importantly, from our perspective, that the United States and President Trump wants as well. So the only question is what exactly is going to be the post-Hamas governance. There's going to be a major meeting on this very, very shortly. For what my money is worth, I hope that it ends up being some sort of Saudi, Emirati, non-Islamist Arab consortium there. I presume the United States will be involved in some capacity, but that's the big question right now.
Yeah, big question indeed. We know that there's also recently been a growing number of people questioning America's strong support of Israel. Former ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, says this. America gets the best of Israeli know-how far more than any other country. It gets intelligence sharing and military cooperation that keeps Americans safer on their own homeland. And it gets a rock-solid alliance with a regional superpower in an area of strategic importance to the United States. In addition, Israel ensures that the holiest sites of both Christianity and Judaism remain accessible to pilgrims from around the world, notwithstanding the falsehoods advanced by ignorant Jew haters. we've seen a growing rise of anti-Semitism here in the United States. We know that earlier this week, we, of course, saw the first Democratic Socialist, but also someone who has been very against Jews overall, elected here as the upcoming mayor of New York City. It seems even more important now for Americans to understand this very important relationship. What would you tell them?
Well, first of all, I'm very grateful for all that Ambassador Friedman does. He actually was one of the blurbers of my book, which you very kindly mentioned at the beginning, Israel and Civilization. So, look, there is so much that the United States gets out of this particular relationship. It's difficult to know where to begin. I think it would be somewhat old hat to talk about intelligence sharing. It would be perhaps somewhat hackneyed to talk about the high-tech sector and all that Israel does there. They have a shockingly high percentage of NASDAQ-listed corporations are based in Israel. It is very much the tech bubble. I mean, the very cell phone itself, for instance, was actually invented. The modern mobile phone is actually an Israeli invention. But I want to answer this question with the following, because I think it gets kind of to the bread and butter utility of the U.S.'s relationship, which, of course, is national security. So back in 1983, there were two terrible events that happened in Beirut, Lebanon. There was the killing of 241 U.S. Marines at the Beirut, Lebanon barracks right there, and there was also the bombing of the U.S. Embassy that same year. Those killed 241 and then 65 to 70 people, respectively. There were bounties from the U.S. State Department for decades on the heads of the two jihadists who were named Fuad Shakur and Ibrahim Akil. There were multi-million-dollar bounties of $5 and $7 million, respectively, for those two jihadists. For 4+ decades, nothing happened, and there was no bounty collected. Those two jihadists were taken out by Israel, by the IDF last year, 2024, on the road to ultimately taking out Hassan Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah there in Lebanon. So, I get asked very often on these campus talks, so forth, Josh, what does the U.S. get out of this relationship? Well, for starters, you get a dead Hassan Nasrallah, and by the way, you get a dead Fuad Shakur and a dead Ibrahim Akil, these two terrorists who the U.S. State Department literally had $5 and $7 million bounties on for 42 years.
How did we get to this point? We're even having this conversation.
Yeah.
Why, especially young men, I think, have somehow learned through various channels that they've decided they don't like Israel, and they're kind of growing a hatred towards the Jewish people. I've been watching it happen here. Why we got to this point?
So there are a few things going on. On the one hand, I think that a lot of the younger generation, which has grown up in the aftermath of what are many failed American interventionist policies overseas, the failures of the Iraq boondoggle, the Afghanistan boondoggle, the failed intervention to oust Muammar Gaddafi in Libya under Barack Obama, there is something of a skepticism of American involvement in the broader Islamic world, and there are bad faith provocateurs, bad faith actors who have been tragically successful at preaching this lie, and yes, it is a lie, that America is only involved in the Middle East or of the Muslim world more generally because we're doing it at our ally Israel's behest. Again, this is a straight up lie, to be clear. So for instance, the Iraq invasion, in the lead up to that in 2002, the leader of the Israeli right, Ariel Sharon, literally told George W. Bush, told Condoleezza Rice, told Colin Powell, don't do this because you're just going to destabilize the region further. Iran will go in there and take control of Iraq, which is exactly what happened. So it's all a lie, but I think that narrative has been tragically successful. There's one other factor I think is having a pronounced effect here as well, and it is the following. It is the fact that we live through the American people. It's not the American people's fault for this, by the way, at all, actually. We're very much the victims of this. But we live in an age where our ability to trust narratives and trust elites, I think, has tragically been diminished. There have been a series of operations foisted upon the American people going back at least as far as Russiagate, back in the 2015, 2016 time span, through the 2020 election, the COVID-19 lockdowns, all that the Biden administration did with the horrific prosecution of Donald Trump, the hiding of their mental patient president for years. The American people basically, what I'm saying is they've lost their ability to an extent to separate right from wrong, fact from fiction, truth from lies, etc. And historically speaking, when a society loses its basic moral compass, its basic ability to separate right from wrong and so forth, there is one group of people that historically is harmed and wronged by that, and that is the ultimate givers of monotheism to the world, the ultimate remedy to moral relativism and idolatry and paganism. That is the Jewish people, the original people of the book.
All right. Very well said. Josh Hammer, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Still ahead on Israel Now, the founder of LoveIsrael.com joins us to speak about a new garden dedicated to President Trump.
And welcome back to Israel Now. This past week, we sat down with the former president of the Jerusalem Post.
Now, he has a new gig promoting Israel and its sacred sites.
Love Israel is a global community. We are about 1 million already followers. The idea is to bring Christians and Jews together because this is a bad world today. If Christians would not unite together with Jews, there will be a mess, a chaos. So I'm sorry to say it was prophesized because now the need is more urgent than ever. We bring love of the faith, the Bible, the land of Jesus to 1 billion lovers of Israel in the world. Because for me, this is the real Jewish diaspora. The Christians are really the wind beneath the wings of Israel. That's our existence. And Trump is the leader for that. So Love Israel was, I think, made a few years ago in order to bring Israel to the hearts of Christian believers.
Beautiful, beautiful. I know that you have some upcoming projects with Love Israel. Let's start here. We specifically have a Donald J. Trump. I'm going to let you introduce it because I got a peek at that. I want you to unveil it. Tell us about it.
Let me tell you, I'm still shivering when I'm showing that. So the President Donald J. Trump Garden of Peace is really going to be the flagship project of Love Israel in its history. The idea is very simple. There is a beautiful baptismal site where 1 million Christians are coming to baptize at the Jordan River. And out of honor and respect of what President Trump had done for us, I just mentioned that he should be my president. I wish I could elect. We are going to launch this garden this coming Easter. I'm so happy to say that Pastor Jeffrey Larson, my very good brother and friend, Christian lover of Israel, is already committed. There would be about 100,000 names of Christian lovers of Israel that would give their names, that would be written on Jerusalem authentic wall, and the stone would be there forever. And of course, in a later stage, there would be a hotel. Many Israeli chain hotels are coming over, but it's in my heart that this would be a Trump Peace Hotel.
I bet President Trump would love that.
I'm sure he would.
I bet he would love it, yes.
I think he'll really like that sign I see there, back there and there in the gold. All are welcome, though, right? Contrary to other places around Israel, all walks of life welcome in Israel and will be welcome to enjoy that.
The garden, I think, is located in the most beautiful place in Israel. It's right where the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus was walking, is coming into the Jordan River, where Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist. So this is a very holy place for Christians and for other religions as well.
Arguably the most holy of some.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so
we
much for having me. Thank
Come
you.
back anytime.
And thank you for Love Israel.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
And still ahead on Israel Now, the annual Republican Jewish Coalition took place in Las Vegas. We're going to have the highlights from the event up next.
Israel has never had a better friend than President Donald J. Trump. In my first term, I terminated the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. With Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we totally obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity, and we didn't even get him by surprise. I kept my promise, officially recognized the capital of Israel, and moved the American embassy to Jerusalem. I also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. Who would have done that? Nobody even thought I was going to think about it. Nobody else thought about it for 70 years. Upon taking office, I signed a historic executive order directing every department and agency in the federal government to do everything in their power to end the scourge of anti-Semitism in America.
President Trump giving a virtual address to the Republican Jewish coalition, highlighting all that he has done for the state of Israel as president.
The event was held in Las Vegas last weekend. The group was celebrating 40 years. Newsmax CEO Chris Ruddy, he was there. He also spoke.
It is said, I've said it before, and I believe it even more strongly today, that Benjamin Netanyahu is the Churchill of our time. His leadership against Iran didn't just save Israel, it saved America and the West.
And then you had one of the best boxers of all time, Floyd Mayweather.
And like I said before, I'm not with you guys 10%, 50%. I will always be the voice for the people in Israel. I will always stand behind the country of Israel. The one and only, Floyd Money Mayweather. In Israel, I will always be here for you guys when you guys don't have a voice.
All right, and joining us now, National Political Director and spokesman for the Republican Jewish Coalition, Sam Markstein. Sam, thanks so much for being with us here. Quite an event that you had there in Las Vegas. Set the scene for us a little bit.
Well, I have one correction for you. Floyd Money Mayweather is the best boxer of all time.
That's fair.
He's the champ. Floyd Money Mayweather was amazing. In addition to President Trump and Floyd and Mr. Ruddy, we had a amazing cavalcade of key GOP leaders from across the country joining over 1,000 Jewish American patriots from across the country. We had Speaker Johnson, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, House Conference Chairwoman Lisa McClain, Senators McCormick and Graham and Scott and Cruz, and the RNC Chairman Joe Gruters, all four House Republican Jewish members, Congressman Byron Donalds, who's going to be the next governor of Florida, as well as Governor Sanders, Mike Lawler, key opinion leaders in the media like Mark Levin and Scott Jennings, and of course, Chris Ruddy, as you mentioned as well. And we all gathered to, yes, celebrate the accomplishments of the last 9 months of the Trump administration, but also look towards the future and the battles ahead, including 2026.
Sam, how does it make you feel to have such a turnout like that? To come out and support from President Trump to our CEO, Chris Ruddy, the greatest, in your words, not mine, of all time, and Floyd Money Mayweather. Yeah. You know, just to see that kind of a cast to come out and throw their support behind you, behind Israel, how that makes you feel?
It makes me really proud to be a Republican. I mean, it really is amazing to see so many leaders from the president on down standing shoulder to shoulder with the Republican Jewish Coalition, standing with the Jewish community, unequivocally denouncing anti-Semitism and standing with the U.S.-Israel relationship. I mean, we started on Thursday night with Senator Cruz, and we ended on Sunday morning with some additional speakers, but it was an amazing, amazing weekend. It's always a must-stop for our Republican candidates as well as Republican leaders, and we endearingly call it the kosher cattle call.
I like that. I like that. That's clever.
You made so many great points there, Sam. Want to kind of pivot to Israel, the country itself, visiting it. We know Officer Brandon Tatum, he spoke at the RJC. He recalled his first time going there. He'd actually never even been out of the country before here, and this was his experience.
I used to think that Israel was like a third world country. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was like Afghanistan and all these other places. I'm telling the truth. Can I be honest? I get on the plane, we land, and I'm blown away. I'm like, oh my God, look at these freeways. Look at this innovation. It's clean, it's peaceful. We went all the way up from Tiberias, all the way down to the Dead Sea. I mean, it blew my mind. And that's not even adding into the connection with all of the things that the Bible had prophesied about that you could see in the flesh right there in Israel. And when I left, I remember thinking, man, I love this place. I love the energy in this place. I see why in America we partner with a democracy like Israel.
Sam, are you surprised by his reaction or not? I feel like you might hear that quite often from people who don't really know what Israel's all about, and then they go and see it, and they're like, in his words, he's blown away.
Well, Officer Tatum, A, was amazing in Las Vegas, and B, he is absolutely right. I wish the haters would actually go and visit Israel and see what he saw, which is that it's a Western civilization country, modern country, democracy in the Middle East, the only democracy in the Middle East, and it protects freedom of religion for all faiths, Arabs, Muslims, Christians, Jews. Everyone can freely go to their holy sites, including most recently the vice president went and prayed at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. This is a place of freedom and secularism and so many different things that you can do as a free person. And you contrast that with the neighbors of Israel who are not like that.
Sam Markstein, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, congratulations on a great event.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
And in the meantime, it's a special bread in Jewish cuisines eaten every Friday night and Saturday.
Delicious. Israel correspondent Jody Cohen, who's broadcasting from Israel, went to a famed challah bakery. Watch.
This is the famous Vishnitz bakery in Bnei Brak, where every week they produce thousands of challah breads.
I try to come every week to buy chalot for Shabbat. Chalot are elevated breads that we eat at our formal Shabbos meals. They're very festive, and this is how we celebrate with our traditional bread. When I sit at the Shabbos meal on Friday night, I finally relax from the hecticness and busyness of the whole week, and I smell the delicious challah and take a bite, and it's just so calming, and I feel connected with tradition and Judaism.
So maybe it's just me, but it was a lot harder than it looks.
Well, I am really hungry now.
Starving.
I love challah. It's
So
delicious.
fresh, soft. When are we going?
I was going to say, we need to take a trip.
We do.
All right.
Well, guess what? That does it for Israel Now. I'm Bob Brooks.
And I'm Katrina Zish. We will see you next time. And a reminder, this program is brought to you by La Palm.